This is literally the best time in history for you to be making serious money. Did you know the number of millionaires in the world has been steadily increasing for years? That means more and more normal people are breaking out of the system and escaping towards financial freedom. So what's stopping you from being one of the new millionaires on the list next year? I'm going to take a look at some of the ideas of entrepreneurs I've interviewed, and I'm going to be rating them out of 10 to see if they're the next $1 million ticket to freedom. I want to invest in one of you. If you want a free mentorship session with me, stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you how. Would you ever start your own business?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, what would you do?
Reselling.
Reselling what?
Shoes, clothing, that kind of stuff, yeah.
So this business initially is not that complicated. It's kind of the drop shipping model. It's not necessarily even your product, which actually can be really beneficial because you're not having to pay out for R&D and physical production costs. I think that for a lot of people, this isn't a bad way to start a business. Again, you don't want a business that's going to cost you a fortune to get up and running, and you ideally want to build up a loyal client base that you can sell other things to. I do think the downside is you want to own the last mile with a client. You want to know who they are, and things like dropshipping don't allow you to necessarily know who the client is. That's all held by Amazon, whoever you work with. So I think the key to a business like this, and to make it an investable business for someone like myself, is to make sure that you actually have a business where you own the last mile. You know who the client is, because then you can resell. If they bought something from you, you know who they are, what they're about, you can sell them something else. Would I invest in it? I don't think you need an investor for this sort of business, unless you buy a lot of stock up front, which wouldn't be the wise way to build it anyway. You want to build up the client base slowly and carefully. So I give this idea 8 out of 10, but I probably wouldn't invest in it because I don't think it needs it. Would you ever start a business of your own?
Yeah, why not? Yes.
Awesome. And what would it be?
The South Indian coffee, which doesn't seem to have emerged here quite yet.
This general model of taking ideas you see overseas and bringing them to the market that doesn't have them generally really works quite well. This is why I always tell people to go and travel, go and experience the world, so you can actually see ideas that aren't in your hometown, in your home city, or in your home country. And I think that this idea generally, coffee, again, it's not going anywhere. Any product that can be replaced by AI, I'd worry. This sort of product will not easily be replaced by anything. Coffee, drinking, food products generally, I think are pretty safe as far as economic turmoil and innovation is concerned. So bringing new products to market that are working well in other markets is a good idea. And personally, I love coffee. Now, they're all the strengths of this idea. Now, what's the downside to this idea? I don't know if it's really feasible in this day and age to open up another coffee shop. There are so many coffee shops already, so saturated and very expensive, of course, with rent and rates and all the other associated costs of open for physical premises. So how are you going to get this product to market? Well, if you do direct distribution, again, you've got a lot of competition. There's at least 100 coffee brands that you can order online that get delivered to your home. Now, competition shouldn't necessarily put you off. There's 100 companies because there's a lot of demand out there. Otherwise, there wouldn't be 100 companies, there'd be one. So ultimately, I think that this idea for me is a definite winner. I can't say whether I'd invest in it or not without trying the coffee, but conceptually I think it's recession proof. Conceptually, I think you could also get to market with it fairly easily. Sustaining it and growing it would be difficult, so I give this idea a 7 out of 10. Would you ever start a business of your own?
Yeah.
What would you do?
Something in cycling, probably, or running.
Maybe
something safety related in cycling.
Yes, there's a good idea.
Yes.
So something that keeps people alive. Have you looked into what the problems are in biking and what causes the most accidents?
I don't know. Getting hit by buses, visibility generally, I think.
I think it's a fascinating human psychology. You'll find this is true for yourself too. You are basically one step away from actually doing your dream business. You might even be accidentally doing something right now that you don't enjoy that might actually give you the experience to do your dream business. So this guy, for example, is actually in the health and safety space. He'd love to be involved in the biking, running space. In 60 seconds, there's an idea there developed around creating safety bikes and safety elements for runners. This idea for me is kind of simple. You make stuff that keeps people from getting hit by a car. It makes total sense to make sure that you create things that save lives, right? If you can build businesses that help people or save lives, I guarantee you, financially, you probably make a lot of money, because you don't make money by chasing money, you make money by chasing purpose. But equally at the same time, you can literally create product. And I think one of the things to try and build in life is businesses that are selling when you're sleeping. So you can put these on eBay or Amazon. I can see it easily being sold if it solves the problem that he's talking about. So the downside to a business like this is probably what he touched on, like the R&D costs and probably the upfront costs needed to make the product. But these days there is a hack around that. You can do crowdfunding, things like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, platforms that allow you to raise the money ahead of time to do these things. And it's easy to raise money, in my opinion, if you're doing something that actually helps people, especially if that product saves lives. So would I invest in this? I would. I give this idea 8 out of 10 because it's got great purpose and I think it's not that hard to get off the ground. So yeah, definitely invest in this business.
Would you guys ever start a business of your own?
Yes,
What would you do?
a fitness studio.
What do you need to make it happen?
Money, yes.
How much do you need?
£500,000.
£500,000. And what would you spend £500,000 on?
I actually think £500,000 is completely over the top for a business like this. I know quite a few people that have started gyms, for example, and you can just rent the equipment. And often those companies will give you 6 months rent free to allow you to get the business off the ground and get membership up. Or you can do it another way, which is get the membership in advance. So you can say, I'm opening up the Fitness Palace, and you can actually call for membership right now. You can explain what the value is going to be. And that's actually what I really love about this business straight off. That actually, for a lot of these businesses, they're much easier to start than you think. You can quite often start them by just doing a landing page, saying what you're going to offer, and then people sign up. So I think this whole idea of fitness is also not going away. People are generally struggling for fitness, and it's only going to get worse, especially as there's more home delivery businesses than ever. People ultimately can just be lazy. But I think this business, in my opinion, is really interesting. And if you can start a business like this, I actually think it can be low cost. The downside quickly to an idea like this, I think you personally have to be in the fitness world. You have to be fit, and maybe you're not fit. So can you represent a fitness brand? You need to actually do what you say you're going to do. And there's been plenty of social media influencers out there who are big and bulky, have pretended to you that they've done it through natural methods, only to find out they've used steroids and all sorts of things. So would I invest in this business? 100% I would. I give this idea generally a 9 out of 10. You don't need $500,000 to make it work. I actually think fitness is very important to life. It's something I really am personally passionate about as well. So I would definitely invest in this idea, and it's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Would you ever start a business of your own?
No.
You look like you do like hair product or something really cool, like a barber's. I knew it. See, I've got intuition.
So I really love this idea. Have you ever heard of this concept that we look like our dogs? If you've got a dog, you look like them. And actually in business, I actually have seen a weird trend, which is you end up looking like your business. Now, these guys look like their business. He had cool hair, just look cool. And I think sometimes that is half of it when building a business. You've got to look like your brand, especially if you're leading the brand. I love anything product. I think it makes a lot of sense to own your product. And if you can build a brand, not a business, as I always say, it can be massive. And of course, there are a lot of hair products already out there, and that would be on my negative for an idea like this. There's a lot of competition. But I do think there's always room for a new player. I say with this idea, it's a 9 out of 10, not because I personally would want to be involved in a business like this, but because it matches the entrepreneur that's pitched it. They would definitely make it work. I'm sure of it. Think about that for yourself. If you look at yourself, what business could you launch that would match your image? Because it will be a lot easier to try and make a business work if it matches how you look. So I promise you the chance to get free mentorship. And this is what you have to do. Tell me in the comments down below which idea you love the most, and give me the next 10 steps you're going to take to make that idea happen. Then I'll get back to one of you to have a one-on-one mentorship session with me to maybe make that idea happen.